Hi children, this tutorial is about XSLT style sheets. XSLT style sheets are mainly used to display XML documents in proper format. XSL means Extensible Style Sheet Language, and this is a family of recommendation for defining the presentations and transformations of XML documents. It consists of three standards: XSL transformations, XML path language called XPath, and XSL formatting objects, XSL-FO. So all these standards together provide a powerful means for formatting the XML documents. But we are mainly dealing with the XSL transformations, that is XSLT. So XSLT style sheets are used to transform the XML document into different forms or formats. Uncommon use of this XSLT is to transform the XML documents into XHTML documents. It is for displaying the document in proper format using a browser. And transformations of an XML documents in the sense that the contents of elements can be moved, modified, sorted, and can be converted to attribute values, etc. And XSLT style sheets are actually XML documents, so they can be validated using DTDs. They can even be transformed with the use of other XSLT style sheets. So this is a standard actually, and it is specifications are given in website http://w3 that URI specifies the XSLT standards. And XPath is actually a language for expressions which is used to identify the parts of the XML documents that specify some elements that are in specific positions in the document, or that elements that have particular attribute values. So XSLT requires such expressions to specify the transformations. To find out the match and to specify the transformations, XSLT requires this XPath language of expressions. So XPath is also used for XML document querying languages such as SQL, and to build new XML document structure using XPointer and all. So let's see the overview of XSLT. XSLT, the formal definition of XSLT is, it is a simple functional style programming language, and it includes functions, parameters, names to which values can be bound, selection constructs, conditional expressions for multiple selection, etc. And the syntactic structure is similar to XML document. So each statement can be specified with an element. And XSLT processors takes both XML document as well as the XSLT document. So the XSLT document is the program to be executed by this XSLT processor, and XML document is the input to this program. So what it does is, parts of the XML documents are selected, then possibly it is modified, merged with the other parts of the XSLT document, and it forms or it gives a new document as output, which is called XSL document. So this XSL document is also an XML document, so which can be again given as an input to the XSLT processor. Anyway, this XML document, that is this output XSL document, can be stored for future use for applications, or it can be immediately displayed by applications such as browser. So neither the XSLT document nor the XML document is changed by the XSLT processor. It creates a new output document called XSL document. So this is the schematic description, schematic diagram which describes this process. So this is the XSLT processor. Inputs to this XSLT processor are the XSLT document and XML document, and it performs the transformations or modifications on this XML document and produces a new XSL document. So an XSLT document consists primarily of one or more templates, so which use this XPath to describe this element attribute patterns present in the XML document. So associated with each element, there is an XSLT code which is executed when a match to the template is found in the XML document. So each template is actually a function that is executed whenever XSLT processor finds a match to the template pattern. And what it does is this XSLT processor sequentially examines the XML document. That is, it searches for parts that match to the template in the XSLT document. So the XML document, what are the constituent parts of this XML document is nodes. Nodes means elements, attributes, comments, text, processing, instructions, etc. So if a template matches an element, the element is not processed until the closing tag is found. And when a template matches an element, the child element of that element may or may not be processed by this XSLT processor. And XSLT model of processing the XML data can be of two types, template driven model and data driven model. And in template driven model, the data consists of multiple instances of highly regular data collections like files containing records. But in data driven approach, XSLT can deal with irregular and recursive type of data. So a single XSLT style sheet can include both the mechanism, data driven as well as the template driven approaches. Now we are going to see the XSL transformations for presenting the XML document. So XSLT style sheets can be used to control the page layout, orientation, writing direction, margins, page numbering, etc. So it has more than 50 formatting elements and more than 230 properties. It's a large complex tag set. So an XML document that is to be used as an input to this XSLT style sheet must specify or must give an instruction to the XSLT processor that the style sheet is to be used for presenting the document. So this instruction has the format like this. Within this angle brackets and question mark, XML hyphen style sheet, that is the element which is used to specify that instruction, whose attribute is type, that is text bar XSL, extensible style language is the document type, and this is the name of that file, which is the content of the href attribute. So this is an example of XML document that illustrate this XSLT formatting. So you can see that instruction here, XML style sheet, type and href is XSL plain.xsl, that is the name of the style sheet file, and this is the content of that XML document. This is the root element, plain is the root element, and these are the elements which are used in this XML document, year, make, model, color, etc. So this document specifies this XSL plain.xsl as the style sheet, and XSLT style sheet is actually an XML document. So it must have a root element. So its root element is called style sheet. So that style sheet root element tag defines namespace as its attributes and encloses the collection of element that defines the transformation for the XML document. So actually it defines the namespaces used by the style sheet. So it also defines the document as an XSLT document. So the namespace for the XSLT elements, the elements solely related to the XSLT style sheet is specified with the W3C URI. If the style sheet include any kind of XHTML elements, the style sheet tag also specify the XHTML namespace. So this is an example. See here, style sheet is the tag name. It is prefixed with XSL, and this is the namespace for the style sheet. This is not the default namespace. That is why it is prefixed with the name XSL. And this namespace is for the elements associated with the XHTML. So this is taken as the default namespace for this style sheet. So here you can see the prefix for XSLT element, that is XSL, and the default namespace is that of XHTML. And a style sheet document include at least one template element. So the templates are actually the functions which are executed for displaying XML document in proper format. So it must include at least one template element. So the template opening tag includes an attribute called match to specify that XPath expression that selects a node in the XML document, or it searches the XML document for a match. And the content of this template element specifies what is to be placed in the output document, or what function has to be performed to display the document in proper format. So if a template element is thought of as a subprogram, opening tag states where the subprogram is to be applied, and the content of the element specifies the body of the subprogram. And in many of the XSLT documents, a template is included to match the root element of the XML document. So there must be a template for matching the root element of the XML document. So this can be done in two ways. The first method is using the XPath expression /. So example is given here, XSL colon template. Template is the element name. Match equal to /. So match is the attribute which is assigned with the value /. It's an XPath expression. So the alternative to this / the // is to use the actual root of that document. Here actual root element is plain. So instead of this we can use plain. So every XSLT style sheet should include a template for the root node. So if the output of the XSLT processor is an XHTML document, so the template that matches to this root node in the XML document can be used to create the XHTML header of the output document. So what will be the content, or the body of that particular pattern or the template? That is, the header code appears as the content of that template element. Let's see the example. So this is the template element with match attribute set with the name, the root element itself, that is plain. Instead of that /, here we have used that root element itself. So what is to be performed? That must be the content of this template element. So the header of that XHTML document has to be generated. So this is the header part. Then starts the body of that XHTML code. Then the remaining part. Then the closing tag of template. Then to produce the complete XHTML document, we need one more element, that is output, and that must be included before the first template. So this element can include two attributes, doc type public and doc type system attribute, to specify two parts of the doc type declarations. And style sheets always have templates for the specific nodes of the XML document, which are the descendants of the root node. An example is given here. This is for the element year. It uses the template element with match attribute set with the XML element name, XML document element name year. And XPath expressions, about the XPath expressions that begin with / are treated as absolute addresses within the document. Those that do not begin with the / are treated as relative addresses. So here match is assigned with the value year. So it is a relative address. Relative addresses are relative to the current node of the XML document. That is, the current node means the last node found by the XSLT processor in the document. And the template for the root node is implicitly applied to generate the output. But for all other templates in the XSLT document, we have to explicitly apply that templates to form the output. So for that, an element is used. That element name is apply templates. So this applies appropriate templates to the descendant nodes of the current node. And this element has an attribute named select to specify the descendant nodes whose template should be applied. So if no select attribute is included, then the XSLT processor will apply the template to every descendant node. And for those nodes for which the XSLT document has not defined a template, a default template will be used. Example here is text and attributes. Those have default templates that output them as text. And template elements are of two distinct kinds. The first one is that those that literally contain content, and those that specifies content to be copied from the associated XML document. So XSLT elements that represent the XHTML elements often are used to specify the content. So XSLT elements have the appearance of the associated XHTML elements, like the following XHTML element. They have content that must be copied from that particular XML document. So an example is given here, span. It is very much similar to the XHTML element, but it is part of the XSLT style sheet. So style information. Style is assigned with font size 14 point and some content, happy holidays. So all XSLT elements that represent this XHTML elements are copied by the XSLT processor to the output document. So the XHTML elements that appear in the XSLT document must conform to the syntactic restrictions that apply to the XML and XHTML elements. And in many of the cases, the content of an element of that XML document need to be copied to the output document. So how we can do this? How we can copy that content of that XML document to the output document? This is done with an element named value -of, which has an attribute named select, so which specify the element of the XML document whose content need to be copied. So an example is given here, XSL : value of, this is the element name, select equal to author. So the meaning of this is that the content of element author need to be copied to the output document. So because the value of element cannot have content, it can be terminated with slash and angle bracket like this. And the select attribute can specify any node of that XML document. This is actually an advantage of this XSLT formatting over CSS, because in which the order of data is stored is the only possible order of display. That is really an advantage of using this XSLT style sheet. And the attribute value, a period, can be assigned to the select attribute. So this denotes that selection of all elements within the current element, or just the current element if it contains no nested elements. So following is an example, a complete XSLT style sheet for the XML document. See, this is our XSLT style sheet with the style sheet as the root element, which specifies the namespaces. Its default namespace as the default namespace is the XHTML namespace. Then template is used here. Match equal to plain. This is our root element of our XML document. It generates the XHTML document, header part of the XHTML document, and then starts the body. And here you can see that apply templates tag, then body, then closing tag of template. So then again for each and every element which comes under this plain element need to be specified in XSLT style sheet. You have to give style information to those elements also. So for that you have used this template element with match attribute set with that element name, then style informations. Again you are specifying the value of element, select attribute set with the value dot, that means the current, apply this to the current element. In that way you have applied the style information to all the sub tags or the sub elements of the root element plain. Year, make, model and color. Okay, this is the output, that IE8 display of the output document. A single description of a plain, year, make, model and color is displayed according to the style information specified in the XSLT style sheet. So the XSLT document XSL plain 1.xsl is XSL that is specified as more general and it is very complex. There is actually no need to include templates for all the child nodes of plain because the select clause of the value of element finds them. You don't have to give the template for all the child nodes of the plain. We can use that select clause to select the child nodes. So we can see the next XSLT document how it is performed. See, this is the second style sheet document where a single element template is being used to match the root element. Then it generates the header part, and then for the body it gives some style information and select the year tag or the year element of our XML document using that value of element, and then again style information, it selects the make, etc., up to color. So some XML document includes collection of data elements all with the same structure. So a document named airplane.xml could have a list of airplane descriptions, all of them have similar structure. So in that case, XSLT template used for one plane can be used repeatedly for each element, which employs a select attribute to specify an element in the XML data. To select each attribute of our XML document, repeatedly select the elements of our XML document, we can use the for each element of XSLT document. So the value of the select attribute is actually a pattern, and any child elements of the specified element are included. So this is the example XML document. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 data related to plane is being mentioned here, all having similar structure. So here we can use the for each element in the XSLT style sheet. So this is our XSLT style sheet with the namespace info. Then comes the template element, the match attribute set with the root element planes, and then some heading. And here we are going to use the for each element with select attributes plain, and its style information is specified. Again, it selects the second element, sub element year, then make, etc., model, and then end of the for each, end of the template element, end of style sheet element. Style sheet is actually the root element of XSLT style sheet. So this is the output when output generated when applying this XSLT style sheet. And XSLT provides a simple way to sort the elements of XML document using that sort element. And this sort element has an attribute named data type. This is used to specify whether the elements can be sorted as text or numerically. In ascending order is the default order of sorting. So the order attribute is also there, which can be set with the value descending to produce the output in reverse order. Anyway, so this is an example, XSL : sort. Sort is the element used. Select equal to year. Select attribute is set with the value year. So it sorts this XML document or the data contained in the XML document based on the key element year, whose data type is number. That's all. Thank you.